Hello to viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Science Thursday, we're gonna talk about power factor, a kind of hidden factor, but it matters a lot. Now, let me be very clear. This puppy is a complex puppy. At this point in time, this is one of the most complex aspect of a AC power grid, which we all rely on. So this is very complex. And to give you an understanding of it, how complex this is, if you ever studied trigonometry in school and you're like, what is the actual use of it? This is the use. You need to utilize cos theta to figure it out. So yes, this puppy is complex beyond all hell, and I have only found two explanations that are any good, and like one of them I have provided under, which actually shows you the real world example with oscilloscope and all that jazz. So I would urge you to check it out to actually see it, but be mindful, this is a complex topic, much beyond my understanding. But it does matter for every one of us, simply because that's the primary reason we don't have kilowatt. Instead of kilowatts, we have kVA. If you buy a generator, you must have noticed that they are generally rated at like 2 kVA, 5 kVA, 10 kVA. It's like, why the heck your kVA, bro? It's like, why don't you use kilowatt? Like, if every power consuming equipment is like 500 watts, 600 watts, horsepower, those are like just a fancy way of saying watts. It's just like, why the heck, if things are measured in watts, why the heck you are utilizing volt amp? It's like, what the hell is happening? Now there are many analogies people have come up with. One of them is very popular nowadays, is simply because utilizing the beer analogy. It's like, you buy a beer but you also get foam with it, which is reactive power, or KVR, reactive system. It is useless for you because you paid for the beer but you got the foam. Now depending on how much foam there is, you may be pissed off, or you may be who cares. So that's the whole point of it. And this grand total, basically foam plus beer equals kVA, basically the thing that your power provider, aka your substation, your grid, has to take care of. So this is a very complex thing we have to deal with. Now this is a very load dependent factor. Basically, it's not something that you can say in blank void. It's not like efficiency, where it's like, oh, it's 90% efficient, so I have 10% extra. It's not like that. It's very load dependent. So if you take all our electrical needs and you want to divide it up, there are three primary categories. Now one of the primary category is resistive load. For example, water heater is generally the biggest resistive load you have, because we no longer use incandescent light bulb. Generally water heaters are still the biggest one. You have room heaters, those are also big and huge. So these are resistive load. Then you come to inductive load, which is the primary load consumption in most places, like your water pump, your air conditioner, your dry basically systems. Unless it's running on some BLDC system, generally they will also have an induction motor or some sort of AC motor. Motors generally have giant coils which act as an inductor. Your ceiling fan, most of the things you have in your house is running either some sort of resistive load or some sort of inductive load. Then you also have a third component, capacitive load, which are generally there, but because of straight capacitance, rather than like you generally do not have something. It's like, there's a huge capacitor, like 1 kilowatt of capacitor there. All capacitors you have in your house are generally starter capacitor, running capacitor, things of that nature. They're very small comparatively speaking. So these are the three primary types of load. Now, because we have three types of load, we also have three types of power factor. Now, power factor of resistive load, basically anything that acts like just utilizing resistance, it's awesome. It's GG. It's basically voltage and ampere. Basically, they are in phase. So if your voltage goes up, current goes up with it. Voltage goes down, it goes down with it. There is no hoo-ha in this. It's absolutely zero in phase. You do not have to worry about it. What does that mean for you? Think of it this way. If you have heating element like iron, water heaters, things like that, and you bought an inverter, like a good quality branded inverter, it's like it says 6,000 VA. You put a 6 kilowatt thermal element onto that, like a water heater or something that big. It's like, I got this, no problem. But then we come to another aspect. That's a resistive load. You do not have to worry about it. Super easy, super calm on your power providing, including generators also. Then you come to inductive load. Now, inductive load, because inductors are inherently coils. Now, coils have inherently magnetism. Magnetism takes time to collapse. So inductors, you have to understand one thing, they do not like changing current levels. Basically, they are like, you change voltage, they're like, who cares? Current, they're like, no, thou shall not tamper with current. Now, because there is no free energy, they do try to fight it, but they can't, like, of course they do not have free energy. They only have the energy they put in the magnetic field itself. So they will wait for magnetic field to collapse before they will let you change the current. What does that mean? That simply means your voltage is working on your completely normal 50 hertz or 60 hertz. It's going up. everything is awesome, your fields are like completely charged up, it's like I'm good, I'm ready to go. But here's the deal, voltage started to go down, current should go down, but here's the deal, inductor is like, no, I shall not let it go down. It starts to hold back. Basically it's like current should go down, it's like no, 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 and then the magnetic field collapses and then it goes down. Now because there is an actual fixed frequency, it got what we call lagged. Basically it was like a current voltage already went behind, man. Now this offset creates a much bigger footprint, quote unquote, of what we call total power draw, reactive power, aka. So basically think of this is acting as a spring force, and your system, basically your generator or your inverter, it has to provide the extra power, like grand total, because of this lag. From generator's point of view, it's like, no, your current draw went up because your this crossing did not happen at 0 point. So that creates a what we call lagging power factor. So generally everything has coil nowadays, like your stabilizer, your CVTs, your transformers, your almost everything has that, like from fans to water pump, things of that nature. So everything that has inductive load, and the biggest inductive load are generally utilized in steel mills when they are talking about inductive basically heating elements, basically inductive furnace. Those things have idiotically bad power factor because those magnetic fields are huge, strong and powerful, and they will like literally mess up a generator. That's how powerful they are. It's because they will literally force current to like, no, 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 stay, magnetic field collapse, okay, go down. Because of that lag, so your power provider, whatever it may be, it has to act over, like it's like, oh, you are not consuming basically, let's say you are not consuming 3 kilowatt, you are consuming 3 plus 2 kilowatt, so it has to send a 5 kilovolt amp of equivalent energy to get this thing done. That's the problem of this lag. Then we come to things like that have basically capacitors. Now capacitor, it does not care about voltage too much, but it does care about, a lot about basically voltage. So you will have voltage is going down, but here's the capacitor, like I will not let it change. So you would have a scenario where current is going down, but your voltage is like still staying at the same level. So that creates what we call leading power factor, where it's like the voltage is leading the charge. So if voltage is behind, we call it lagging. If voltage is ahead, we call it leading. So that's the whole point. So you have one thing that pushes it in positive direction, you have one thing that pulls it in negative direction, and that's why you have basically, if you look at any old power factor meters, it will always have like a 0 in the center, as in like 1, and then you will have -9 or +9. So you will have leading or lag. And that's why, like, do not freak out if you see a power factor meter that is like saying -9 and then it randomly says that minus symbol disappears. It's like your load went from inductive to capacitive. That happens. So that's the whole point. Two primary types of thing. Now, because we have two different methods, one goes in negative, one goes in positive, we can correct this issue. Now, poor factor can cause waste of power, because from your generator's point of view, it's like whatever the generator may be, maybe a solar inverter, maybe a transformer, maybe a basically a power plant generator somewhere else. Now, but because power plant generators are so huge, it does not matter too much, but to your transformer that is providing power from substation, it matters a lot. So from that point of view, there is a phenomenon known as phantom loading. So I'll give you a simple example. This is the example that one shopkeeper gave me. It's like, this is a very early eras of CFL. Now CFL in very early eras, they were really poorly designed, so their power factors were really bad. So this gentleman had a warehouse, and he's like, dude, I need a lot of CFLs running there. So he bought an inverter, good quality branded one, 1500 VA inverter, and he's like, okay, let's put 1500 watts of CFLs there. Now big warehouse. So he's like, everything is awesome, everything fancy, but the moment power went out, the inverter tripped. It's like, why the heck inverter is not taking the load? They tried to change it again and again, but they had to eventually buy 2000 VA system, even though the loading was at 1500, simply because of the power factor correction issue. Now if you do that with proper basically CFLs that are like very expensive, but they have power factors like almost 1, like 9.58 or like 9.92, things of that nature, then it would not matter. That would like almost, you only need to remove one CFL as long as to make sure all of them run properly. So that's why it wastes power, and that wasted power generally translates to heat, be it heat generated on your transformer or heat generated like the extra loading that your generator has to take care of. So it's always wasteful, and strain on the grid is not a good thing. Your grid should be as comfortable as possible. So that's why you will see substation, they have giant power capacitor banks which will take care of the situation, because we do not have capacitive load in our day-to-day life. Most of the time, most of the loading is either inductive and resistive. Resistive does not cause any issue, simply because we got this. Like resistive load, we got this, don't even worry about it. Inductive load is the problem. Now inductive does what we call Lagging power factor, capacitor does what we call leading. So what we'll have, generally there would be control circuit. You cannot just plug this capacitor in the system and be like awesome. No, you can never do that. You always have to measure it, like how much is needed, otherwise you will create a leading power factor. So they will be like, okay, negative minus 10 is there, add capacitor to do plus 10. Then you will have, okay, minus 25, then add 25. You will never do it like, okay, just connect minus 25, because that will create a leading power factor, which will mess up the transformer. So fundamentally, and another aspect is like big industries, basically like a home complex, basically places where generally they are paid by a basically transformer. If you see a transformer in the building premises, they are generally getting charged for power factor also. Not everywhere, but most of the time they are like, dude, yeah, their bill includes power factor, because the transformer is directly connected to 11 kVA line, and if the transformer is getting overdrawn, like you're getting too heated, it will mess up the voltage on multiple transformers, and those transformers will affect the power supply of whole blocks of people. So fundamentally speaking, they will charge you for that, because if you are wasting it, they're like, okay, waste it, we have to lay another line, add extra transformer or add extra generation capacity on our end, so we'll charge you more. So if you're like, if they will measure your system, they're like, okay, power factor is 0.9, awesome. Power factor is 0.8, 5% penalty on all your bill. Like if you have 1000 units, it's like 5% extra. It's like, okay, your power factor went really bad, 0.75. It's like, okay, now pay 25% more. So this is a very crucial thing, because they hide it, the energy, you literally hide that puppy in like, small prints. People don't pay attention to that, but for factories it's a very crucial deal. So they will have giant capacitor banks always running, just to make sure that they correct the power factor. And it also helps your every equipment down the line, basically everything else that is connected to the electrical grid. If the power factor is like properly aligned, everything else also likes it. There is less harmonics, there is less distortion, there is less hoo-ha, everybody is happy with that. So capacitor bank is used because most of the loads are inductive, that causes the damage. So you utilize capacitor to compensate for that. So you will try to be as close to as 0.9, 0.98, 0.993, something like that. So that's the whole way. That's the only time you will see huge banks of capacitor being utilized, just to compensate for the inductive loads. Now this translates to KVA reality that we live in. Basically everything that has transformer, be it your UPS, be it your stabilizer, be it your main transformer, or even generator, they are like rated in kVA, and it's up to you, because again the load is up to you, so it's up to you to figure out the power loading for that. And if you have power like properly calculated the power factor, you will know how good it is. Like for example, for PC enthusiast, like you could find a power supply that is like really cheap for 1000 watt, then you look at the power factor, it's like 0.8. Then you look at someone else, and then it's like power factor is like 0.9, that's expensive. Then you look at server power supply, that's like 0.983. Those are like ludicrously expensive. But why? Because the server industry, they have to pay by the transformer, and they want the power factor to be good. It's much better to have a system that does not mess up the power, rather than to have like a giant capacitor bank to compensate for that issue. Now again, it can't be helped if you are dealing with giant inductive cookers, but again, you will try to have equipments that do not mess up the power in the first place. And bad power, if it's something that you are ignoring, in worst case scenario, you can just simply cook all your power providing, be it your generator, be it your transformer, be it your inverter. So this is something that you have to pay attention to, and it also applies on UPS also. Inverter, UPS, they are interchangeable in this context. So this was my presentation on power factor. Hopefully it had have provided you some clarity, and in that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends, that will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me your disappointment. Please leave a comment, because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.